not alone, you're waking up. Welcome to Quantum Mysteries, the show where experiencers speak, timelines bend, and the veil between worlds lifts. Join Oria Mirza, author, alien experiencer, and now speaker and healer. Joined by Dennis Strahl, lifelong experiencer and silent witness to the inexplicable. Together they explore the front lines of human consciousness and the intelligent beings who walk beside us unseen. From interdimensional visitors and cryptids to elemental intelligence and ancient alien tech. From psychic surgery and downloads to time-missing and galactic quantum memory. From UAP government cover-ups to free energy to sacred geometry, nothing is off the table. We don't theorize, we remember. We revisit the experience, the transformation and the transmissions. We track patterns, decode messages, follow frequencies and portals that lead deep within. Because this isn't about entertainment, it's about disclosure from within. If you felt the shift, seen the lights, heard the call in the middle of the night, this show is for you. Quantum Mysteries.
Welcome back, everybody, to Quantum Mysteries. I'm your host, Lady O, Oria Mirza, and this is my friend and colleague at this point, my co-host, Dennis Strahl. Welcome, Dennis.
Good morning and good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are and whenever you're listening to this. We're happy to have you here.
Yeah, we're both experiencers. I'm coming from Los Angeles, and Dennis is in 109 degrees in Las Vegas right now.
Yeah, it's pretty warm here.
How's that been going?
It's the desert, and I'm not surprised. I lived in the Palm Springs area in Southern California for close to 42 years, and I can remember times there where several days in a row it would be somewhere between 118 and 122 every day.
I don't think that's inhabitable. Don't the tires of your car will melt?
Well, it's pretty intense, let me tell you.
Wow.
So when people say, when it's 110 here or 109 like today, it's like, for me, it's like, oh, that's no big deal. Have you ever experienced 122?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I would think that birds and things will die in that. Oh my gosh.
I mean, they're all native, all the animals that live in the desert, no matter what the desert is.
Yeah.
They're all native to that climate. So they're used to, in the high deserts, for example, up in central Nevada, where I've done a lot of mining operations at 6,500 to 7,000 feet. And the reason they call it high desert is because there's no trees.
Okay.
There's sagebrush that's about 16 to 18 inches tall, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they call it high desert. And it snows there in the winter.
Right.
And it'll get down, it was down to 8 or 9 degrees first thing in the morning when I'd go out to meet a drill rig when we were doing some drilling. But in the summertime, it can get up to 105.
I don't know how you do it, Dennis. I am very apprehensive about heat and summer, and I'm over here melting. I've dabbed my face so many times, and I'm still shiny. I can't get out of it.
Speaking of the desert, isn't it interesting how many sightings UFOs take place in desert areas? Area 51. Well, Area 51 is in the middle of a huge desert area here in Nevada.
Well, we're going to launch into all this UFO conversations. You guys, I want to just thank you for joining us. And I want to let you know that Dennis and I almost said Riz because I'm so used to doing shows with my husband, but Dennis and I are experiencers. So if you haven't heard of us or seen our show, this is episode 11. And we have been talking about our discoveries, what it's been like for us, our changes. I have a book that I put somewhere over here that I just recently wrote, and Dennis helped me actually edit it. And that is my alien upgrade book. And this is the story of what happened to me in 2010. It changed my life in the course of just one day. And Dennis himself has also been abducted. He's had memory loss, time loss. So have I. And since then, the reason why we came together and started this show during COVID, I believe, when we first started, the reason we started is that we changed so much as a person after our encounters, and I mean, for me, it was very, very obvious. Like I knew I changed. And for Dennis, it was over time because he kept having more experiences. And what he started to realize was that it was like he was having such intense desire. We talked about this last night. We both have this intense desire. It's like you cannot shake it. You can't help it, that we have to talk about consciousness, evolution, UFO disclosure, UFOs, aliens, intergalactic beings, multidimensional realities. We have to help humanity expand their consciousness. And I think we both feel that we had this upgraded in us. Right, Dennis?
Yes. Well, and two, just for clarification, if you're watching something like this for the very first time, when Oria says experiencers, specifically what that means is kind of an all-encompassing term. You've either experienced, you've seen UFOs, maybe you think you were taken on board.
Yes.
Maybe you had a so-called alien upgrade, which is an energetic upgrade like Oria had.
Yes.
So when we use the term experiencers, it's all-encompassing, and we're saying it in our context, in a context of some sort of an experience with a UFO.
Right. And so, if you guys are tuning in, you guys know, if you're watching UFO shows, you know that there's so much going on right now. And even the experts, even people who have been dedicating their entire careers to a UFO disclosure have a hard time keeping up right now with what's going on, including especially because of AI technology and now having to decipher what's real, what's not real, right? That's like a big deal.
Oh, sure. I mean, how easy is it for AI? I've got a buddy in South Carolina that is really, really good with some really, really high end, and he teaches other people how to use it with the video creations using AI.
Mm-hmm.
And he created one the other day. It was kind of comical, but the UFO was landed, and the alien was standing there. It looked real. I mean, really looked real. This texture of the skin and everything. It was a tall, large eye, like a tall gray,
right,
as we normally see them. And this beautiful woman in a bikini with her arm around the alien. And I'm not kidding you, it looked like he had inserted the photograph of a real woman.
Right.
And it's all AI.
Right.
So you really have to, wonder when you see a new, here's a new sighting. Was it an AI creation?
Yes.
It could be these days, unfortunately. But there's a lot of real footage out there. The U.S. Navy and the U.S. Air Force released some footage back in 2017. And that particular year, among the 7 other years that I attended Contact in the Desert, which is the largest UFO conference around the world, lasts for 4 days. Back then, now it's a 5-day event. And several of the keynote speakers there over that 4-day period showed the footage and said, hey, for those of you that say, well, I'm not going to believe in UFOs until the government admits it. And I have friends that are still resistant to that, yeah, I'll believe it, Dennis, when the government exposes it. So then I dial them back to 2017 and I say, gee, last time I checked, I think that the U.S. Navy and the Air Force, aren't they a branch of the U.S. government? Isn't that an admission by the government?
Yes.
And yet people still hold out over that point. Well, do we have to have video of them landing on the White House lawn? Is that what you want? And there would still be people that would say, oh, that was just AI. Exactly.
We're in a time frame where, proof is taking on a whole new meaning. Conspiracy theorists and theories are being combed through again, because many people are starting to realize it may not even be conspiracy at all. And also, it's kind of like, it almost feels like a free-for-all, because there's so many government agencies, and then there's private equity, private government agencies, and then private underground agencies that are working within each other. So there are so many different little agencies working within, like black op agencies working inside of other agencies, and they don't even know about each other. They don't even know the actors, the agents that work within those sectors. So it's really hard for anybody to get a clear delineation. And also there's this overview that whoever discloses first out of all the big countries, they have the dominant power. So then there's that. Then people are talking about in the political sector that if Trump comes out with this information, or any kind of UFO information that's more of a disclosure. It takes away from the Epstein files. So there's so many different conversations, but
A lot of different angles, yeah.
many different angles. So what we've done is we have pulled together some things that we'd like to talk about today. One of them is Jeremy Corbell's false UFO arrival hoax warning. I want to go over that because it was very telling. It was a few months ago that he gave this warning, and then Harvard professor Avi Loeb, the interstellar object, raises alarm videos, and media outlet attention has been given to him on that topic has been coming out, and the correlation of that. I want to discuss that.
And they speak about it, if I may interject here, as if they have a two-way radio and they're talking to the ETs and they know that they're evil.
Yeah, I mean, they have, there's people that have positive and benevolent ideas and agendas, and there's those that don't. And everybody wants the technology, and then there's people who want the energy technology that UFOs. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, Dennis. I know you and I had a long discussion about energy, the free energy.
We'll get to that eventually.
We'll get to that. We'll try to get to that today. That's a big one. So the other thing I would like to discuss is something that's very interesting, and I'm still working on the discovery of this. But so Ross Coulthart mentioned recently about Lockheed Martin and reverse engineering, and he was referring to the long-standing allegations that the black budget has been reverse engineering for many decades and have a lot of data and information on reverse engineered data sets or projects, UFO crashes and non-human crafts. I'm going to go over all the notes I have here about what he said and what he's talking about. And I also want to bring in, and we'll try to get to all of this, and I'm going to try to bring in, my grandfather worked at Lockheed Martin for 3 decades. My grandmother worked there, and my dad worked there. And I had a UFO encounter.
That's pretty interesting.
Pretty interesting.
Yes,
so
it is.
I'm going to put I recently went to go visit my elderly aunt, who's the daughter, and I went through a lot of her documents, and I found some things. Some of it I was able to take home with me. Some of it I have a lot of research to do, including a big telephone book, a contact book that he had in his possession, that I have now from that time period, which could be worth its weight in gold at this point. But I'm gonna put his name up on the show, and I'm gonna show his credentials and everything, because this is an ongoing investigation on my side, because I would like to know the details.
More. Yeah. One other little tidbit I'll throw in here as far as governments disclosing.
Yes.
And I have not re-researched this recently, but I remember like 6 or 7 years ago hearing within the UFO community, maybe it was one of the speakers at Contact in the Desert, the 4-day event we just spoke about. But apparently several years back, the country of Brazil the Brazilian government did make a formal announcement to all Brazilian citizens that, yes, we are admitting, yes, UFOs are real. And as you all observed, we have plenty of sightings here in Brazil.
Wow.
So but that was not publicized on U.S. media at all. Why
Interesting.
Would that be? Why would that be?
I mean, I do believe, my heart of hearts believes in our lifetime that Dennis and I will be able, in our particular lifetimes, we're going to be able to be a witness to the beginning stages, or at least the first rounds of disclosure. I don't know if we are going to see openly aliens coming forward, because there's such an issue with belief at this point. And there's so many alternate beliefs and so much violence still running the show and there's so much power plays, power grabs that, that type of higher intelligence is not willing to come forward until we settle down more. So we have to still see some more things go down first before we actually start to calm down as a society and get ready for higher intelligence. And that's what we're hoping to help people evolve so we could roll out this new future that we're all waiting for. But that's what all of us are doing. That's what me and Dennis are doing, and Riz and I, and so many of you out there are playing your part and trying to raise the consciousness of the planet to prepare ourselves for more information and disclosure so we can have a multidimensional experience that's more high-tech and healthy and friendly and benevolent and holistic. That's what we all want.
That's such an important point to make, too. I'm glad you brought that up, Oria, because, you know, when you think of from the ET's perspective, let's all assume that they're real, okay?
Right.
And let's say that one of the races, and they're orbiting our planet in cloud-cloaked ships or whatever, hanging up there in the sky. And let's not go too far out, like a million years ahead of us. Let's just say, okay, you look at the technology that we have since the United States was founded in 1776. It's now 2025. Look at all the technology we have. Well, let's say that somebody's just 5,000 years ahead of us, spiritually, technologically, and intellectually.
Yeah, that's incredible.
They would be orbiting our planet and looking down at what's going on, because, you know, they're going to be able to translate all the languages. They can listen to the TV transmissions and the radio transmissions and probably the telephone calls in any country at any time. And they're going, you know, why would we want to land here now? Because they still fight amongst themselves on their own planet.
Right.
We stopped doing that thousands of years ago.
I know.
They're going to attack us. They're going to attack us just like they're attacking each other.
Now, you want to hear something funny, and I'm kind of going to do a left field for you, Dennis. I'm going to surprise you because I didn't talk to you about this prior, and it was not on our show notes. But
okay.
last night I sent you a link, and you probably didn't have a chance yet to watch it. But basically, it is about in the early 70s. There was 2 Mexican pilots that. People are starting to talk about this again. And Area 52, the show, did a full expose on the leaked audio of alien beings speaking through the pilot. And the pilot, let's see if we have his name. I don't want to not say his name correctly. Okay, so I don't have it here. So the pilot basically was very young, one of them, and he was doing a test flight. And it was supposed to be a 15-minute flight in Mexico City. And within just as soon as he took off, and within 10 minutes, the alien ship had actually taken him and was moving him through the sky and moved him all the way to Acapulco. And he had lost consciousness when they reached about 15,000 feet because a little Cessna plane wasn't able to go that high. And the fuel tank wasn't big enough to go to Acapulco. But that's where he ended up. And when he started communicating with the tower, the Acapulco what do you call it? the tower,
lookout tower,
the controller. There was an alien being speaking through him, which we call trance channeling. And so he channeled for 45 minutes, and he talked to the controller and a room full of 7 people. They recorded a portion of it, and then the alien asked for a new frequency line, so they moved it to. The Skywalker had its own frequency radio line. So then he continued the conversation, and someone did record that part of the conversation. The voice that came through sounded a little bit metallic, which I've heard and I've also experienced myself. And also the being spoke in several different languages. So the conversation that he gave to the controller was this. Basically, he said, I'm choosing to communicate through this primitive means by your human because this is considered like a microphone to us. There is no other safe way for us to communicate, but it's going to the right people because we know you'll convey this information properly. We want to let you know that if you continue with the bombing and the nuclear, bombs and all the things that are going on, that this is going to end your civilization. And we're trying to stop that. And then this particular alien said this is the only warring, violent planet left in the galaxy. Actually, everybody's evolved past violence, and they're all trying to help us.
Wow.
I found that interesting. I don't know, that could be the opinion of that alien. We don't know if that is actually true because the universe is a vast place. But when the pilot came to, he realized he was almost in Acapulco, and he was getting ready to land. And he was in shock, and he landed, and they checked his fuel gauges and his fuel tank, and not a drop of gas was used. They documented this. He did a couple articles, interviews, and they immediately covered the whole thing, and it went deep classified. So now it's starting to come back out, and Joe Rogan and other people are talking about it. And what I want to make a point is, I was laughing with Riz because Riz said, gosh, I wonder what it would be like to actually talk to that alien through that guy. And I said, I don't know. I do that every week with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, you are that technology. And he goes, oh my God, that's right. I forget. So
very true.
My husband is a full trans channel and has been trans channeling publicly, internationally, spirit guides, alien groups, higher intelligent beings, more than probably any other channel that has been documented. Over 60 different people, beings, entities of highest benevolent wisdom and love have spoken through Riz. And currently we're working our way to getting him to speak on a panel or on a stage at Contact in the Desert and do his channeling there. And he has spoken at the Conscious Life Expo. He has spoken in Gaia and many other places and multiple podcasts. And we're trying to get the word out because these beings that are speaking through Riz have been giving information to the world, the planet, through our transmissions for 15 years, over 8,000 hours. And we're trying to get the word out. We're trying to get people to understand that there's a lot of really powerful information about helping heal our planet and upgrade our consciousness. So that, I just wanted to bring that in. It was a little surprise attack. Sorry, Dennis, I wanted to just throw that in there.
Okay. No, that's okay. Because another little interesting tidbit, directly relevant to what you just said,
yes,
that everybody might find interesting is you mentioned that the one from Mexico had kind of a metallic type of a voice.
Yes.
Okay. Well, because I've heard Riz channel many times.
Yes.
And with each different being or entity or group, like Echelon, which is a group consciousness of ETs, his voice changes.
Yes. It changes. There's different beings.
His voice is different according to the being that's coming through. And and his mannerisms change. I mean,
yes.
You know, one of the most dramatic, I think, for me always has been Red Eagle.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
who had a life here.
His gaze
yes.
and how he looks and everything. And
right.
Like, wow, what a
it's
transformation.
Incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for the opportunity when Riz gets a chance to actually channel live alien beings on Ross Coulthart, on Joe Rogan, on Contact in the Desert, and these types of venues, because this is what everyone is really excited about and what everyone's talking about. Riz has been talking about for a long time and has been sharing this information through his guides and himself. And we just haven't had the right platform to get into these areas, but the time is now and we're putting the word out. And if anybody knows a way that we can get into like the Joe Rogan show or Ross Coulthart and have Riz channel these Echelon beings live on Ross Coulthart, I think this would be a very, very important and dramatic turning point. So, yeah.
Isn't it interesting over the last couple of years, how much more, I mean, most people remember Joe Rogan from the TV show Fear Factor,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Where people were eating cockroaches and jumping over cars and all that crazy stuff. And he wasn't talking about, he didn't even have a podcast back then.
Right.
And for a long time, his podcast never had any UFO related content.
Yes.
Now it's becoming quite frequent.
Isn't that interesting? And he started talking about, Joe? He recently talked about Daryl Anka and Bashar, and he wasn't talking about it in a negative way either. So things are changing. The conversations are changing and demographics are changing. It's not so much about political sides as much. In some areas, people are like, let's come together. Let's figure this out. Let's, upgrade our civilization. We all need it. But now we should dive into our show notes. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. So we're going to start with Jeremy Corbell. So the UFO journalist Jeremy Corbell has cautioned that the government may later attempt to orchestrate a false narrative, specifically claiming that a UFO will arrive on Earth in 2027, using it to justify public surveillance or control. He frames this within Project Blue Beam style psyops theory, suggesting messaging could serve as a massive distraction or manipulation tactic. And he put this little short, it was a little, like a small little, it was like a blurb that they took out from a bigger show, and it's been circulating as a short. And I saw it. Yeah. And that short, he said, don't be surprised if this happens. Now, lo and behold, Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb has speculated recently that they discovered an interstellar comet 31 Atlas might not be a comet at all, but an intelligently controlled craft or probe due to its anomalous speed and trajectory. While mainstream scientists view it as natural, Loeb urges that all possibilities, including potential alien origins, should be seriously considered by policymakers as the object approaches the inner solar system. Now, what makes this interesting about this Harvard astrophysicist is that he's been on all the mass media outlets. That's what's fascinating.
Yep.
Because they're not talking to the scientists who say, no, we think this is natural. This is just biological. No, he's saying this is not biological because the way that it is moving through each,
the trajectory seems to be directed as if it's under power.
And it's also not leaving any trails of gas or any kind of trails of any kind. And it's moving,
no exhaust.
And it's moving at an incredibly, like hundreds of thousands of miles per second. It's like
I heard somewhere 135,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, I could even get down to the bare bones of that. I could look that up in a second and find out exactly how fast it's moving. But there's a particular way as it rounds the sun, it's going to go right into our orbit because it's coming from behind the sun. And then when so there's a way that it's going to hit. It's supposed to hit Earth, but it's interesting the way the newscasters are talking about it. They're very calm. Some of them giggle a little bit, but they're getting more sensitive, which I find interesting. Like all of a sudden they're changing their tune. They're not laughing at the UFOs anymore. Now they're more like, oh, well, this Harvard astrophysicist said this. And Jeremy predicted that this was going to happen months before, which I found very, very interesting.
Well, and just, a few weeks or a month or two ago, there was another congressional hearing where they brought in, so-called insider witnesses. And very often their response is, well, I'd have to respond to that question, Senator so-and-so, in a closed session.
Right.
Which immediately implies they know something that they're not willing to say in a Senate hearing that's being, broadcast on television.
There's so many things happening right now on a daily basis that the second it happens, I immediately go through all my checklist of facts of true versus false. And I go, whose agenda is this? Why did they set this up? Is this a real news story or propaganda? Is this more controlled narrative? Is this a real story? Did this guy really get beat up by an innocent person walking and he just decided to beat somebody up? Or was this person a plant? Was he a government plant? And this is a story on purpose because it's pushing the narrative in the direction that the government wants it to go. Like every single thing that's coming out, especially in this sector, I am reviewing with a different lens. I'm not looking at like, oh yeah, just face value at all.
Exactly. And, and we can't demonize, we don't want to make general statements that demonizes everybody in the government.
Right.
But let's face it, there are people that are up to no good. That's why they become a politician. And then there are honest, good people
right.
that really want to help our country and everything about it. And so there's a mix in there and you can't really, lump everybody together because there's a lot of variables involved and you have to take that into account when you listen to these people. I mean, in those Senate congressional hearings that happened recently, which you can find on YouTube, folks, just look it up. Many of the senators in Congress, ladies and gentlemen, asked very astute questions, but very often they received very obtuse and evasive responses.
Yes.
And every time there's an obtuse or evasive response, it means they know something, but they are not about to tell you or us or that congressman.
Right. So the public has taken it upon themselves at this point, as you can see, and we are now just doing our own investigative reporting. MUFON has been doing this a long time where they have their own private investigators that sign up and take courses and they go out in the field and they get trained by the MUFON experts, which is great. But it's even gone bigger than that. Now there's just so many individual journalists and podcasters and researchers and ufologists and people who are taking this very seriously, and we're not leaving it into the hands of the government anymore. People are getting private funding. Tech companies are getting involved. AI is being used to decipher codes. We're going deeper in the rabbit hole together from all angles, and it's kind of, we're closing in. I think there's like an encroachment happening where we're going to eventually squeeze out the truth one way or another, because the demand for this is becoming, it's going to reach a fever pitch. So it's going to be bound to happen one way or another.
One of my friends, and I think I've mentioned her to you before on Facebook, her name is Starshine. The handle she goes by anyway. And, she goes to Roswell, she goes to Sedona, she goes all over the place and takes pictures and upload them and all. But in the last 2 to 3 weeks, she's uploaded twice video of UFOs in broad daylight in Sedona. Both of these occurrences were in Sedona in broad
especially
daylight.
Sedona. with all of that crystal magic that's underneath the soil, and it's such the electromagnetic frequencies there, as well as Mount Shasta, making them huge vortexes for UFO sightings. And that's, Riz and I, that's what we do. I'm sorry, I'm just so hot right now. You guys have to just bear with me. My husband and I, we lead sacred earth retreats around the world, and we take people and we take them to these vortexes. Many times have these sightings because the UFOs we believe they can fly easier in these areas than dense areas. That's why you see them more in the deserts and the mountain ranges, the farmlands, over the ocean, because when you have so much city EMFs, radio signals, and all these different signals going through,
and consciousness pollution.
Yes. And if you're an empath, you know about the consciousness pollution.
Yes.
That's a good way to say it.
I can't even remember the last time. I mean, there are exceptions, but we're not hearing about frequent sightings in the skies over Detroit or Chicago.
Exactly. Because
upstate New York, yes, okay, but not New York City.
Well, from what we understand, these UFOs are directed by internal dialogue of the pilot inside of the ship. It's actually telepathic. So I could see where being in a big city with millions of people, with their consciousness talking at the same time, that might be difficult to maybe navigate.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. So let's move on to Lockheed Martin.
Yes.
So Ross Coulthart from News Nation, who we listen to all the time, we love him dearly. We feel at this point that he's just like a family member, a friend, that he's doing God's work at this point. We're very grateful. You have that relationship with David Wilcock. I know that you've been following him a long time and feel that way.
I have.
Yes. So Ross Coulthart has strongly implied, without naming every classified source, that Lockheed Martin, specifically through Skunk Works, may have been involved in reverse engineering recovered non-human craft, potentially dating back to the 1940s or 1950s. This theory has been echoed by David Grush, the whistleblower who testified under oath that the government has intact and partially intact non-human craft. Coulthart has suggested that the tech was funneled into private defense contractors to avoid FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, exposure, with Lockheed often being the central figure in these allegations. The goal is to reverse engineer advanced propulsion systems and material science from these off-world craft. So according to Coulthart and Grush and others, they have been the kind of tech that has been reverse engineered, which you guys are not going to believe, is non-human craft, intact or fragments, metamaterials like bismuth, magnesium layered composites, anti-gravity or inertia nullifying propulsion, energy systems that defy conventional physics, and biological evidence that has also been implied but not confirmed in some cases. And the reason why Lockheed is because Skunk Works is legendary for classifying aerospace projects. Example, the U-2, I guess that's a U-2 bomber. I can't. It just says U-2, SR-71 Blackbird, F-117 Nighthawk. It's one of these few facilities with the secrecy, resources, and aerospace talent to potentially handle off-world tech. Cole Hart and other journalists have followed trails suggesting UAP crash retrieval programs may be contracted to private defense contractors like Lockheed. So this is very interesting because it's right under our nose. You know, Lockheed Martin used to be in Burbank, California. Now they've moved, but the new location I think is in California. I haven't looked. It's somewhere in a different area in California. You know, I've heard the word Lockheed Martin mentioned so many times growing up that I have kind of become numb to it in my family. And my dad was a UFO enthusiast most of my life. So I got very numb to hearing some of these things. But as they keep coming back into the spotlight and hearing that they've been quietly reverse engineering tech that could change civilization, change our lives, and it's not being released for various reasons, which will lead us to the conversation of energy. So, Dennis, you have such an illuminated and powerful position on how you feel about free energy and how you feel about them holding back free energy. I would like to let you take the floor.
Sure.
And talk
by
about
the way,
this.
I'll just mention here really quick, and it was quite an experience. You mentioned the SR-71.
Yes.
I was bidding on something to do with construction, some special roofing materials, at the NASA facility that's within China Lake Air Base, just north of Los Angeles, okay, up near Lancaster. And the guy said, he was taking us to the location in a golf cart at NASA there, within the base. And he says, hey, would you guys like to look close up at that SR-71 over there? We said, yeah, that'd be cool. He says, well, I can get within about 20 feet, but you cannot get out of the golf cart.
Wow.
So he drove over, put it over to it, and we got to sit there and look at that thing from 20 feet away. And it's a lot different than seeing it in a video on YouTube, let me tell you.
So it's overwhelming, probably.
So back to the issue that...
the free energy.
Yeah, the free energy issue that Oria just brought up.
Yes.
These aren't conjectures of my own. It has to do with information that I've gathered because of the people that I listen to and have listened to in the past. And it's very interesting because, you know, I'll just reiterate here, the Contact in the Desert 4 days in a row UFO conference that takes place every year in Southern California. I attended the first 7 years in a row. From 2012 was the first year all the way up to 2019. And this issue comes up a lot because, you know, there are people that attend that from around the world. And so numerous speakers, which many of them, for example, if you're a fan of Ancient Aliens, okay, were keynote speakers there, David Wilcock, Eric Von Doniken, the producer, Giorgio Tsoukalos, Nick Pope, David Childress. If you watch Ancient Aliens, you've heard of all of those people. When you could just sit and listen to one of those guys talk for an hour and a half, opposed to his 10-minute opinion within a 1-hour episode, it's quite enlightening.
Wow.
And what many of them bring up, they say, you know, one of the questions I know somebody in the crowd here is going to have, and it comes up all the time, is why would the government hide the existence of real UFOs? And if you wonder what we all talk about, all of us speakers, you know, at lunchtime when we're sharing a booth or whatever, we've discussed this, and this is the one thing that we all agree on, is the number one reason is they don't want you to personally have a free energy device that pulls you off the electric grid, you know, about the size of a backpack, hang it on the wall in your garage, call up your electrician, say, hey, come on out here and hook up that new free energy device I've got, disconnect me from the grid and hook it into my main breaker box, so I've got electricity for the rest of my life for free. Once, because I you know, hey, it was only $1,500. The jacuzzi's more than that, so I got one. Hook me up. They don't want you to have that. And you would say to yourself, maybe why? Well, you know, I mean, gee, if nobody had an electricity bill anymore, all that money would be sent on, you know, more clothing, new cars, college tuitions. Okay, so it would really actually stimulate our economy. So my opinion, one twist that I put onto this is, yeah, they don't want you to have that device, but why would they not want you to have an electricity bill? Well, The last time I actually examined one of my electricity bills was actually in California before I moved here to Las Vegas. And I was in the city of Palm Desert, which is just a little bit east of Palm Springs and only about 10 minutes away from where Contact in the Desert is now conducted, which is Indian Wells. And I'm looking at the bill and I'm going, okay, so Southern California Edison obviously gets the lion's share. They are the provider of the electricity, right? But wait a minute, the city of Palm Desert, they're taxing me, I guess, for the privilege of having electricity in their city. Oh, and the county that I'm in, the county of Riverside, they're taxing me on this bill. Oh, and the state of California. Oh, and the feds.
Everybody gets a piece.
Everybody gets a piece. So if you just isolated, if you're listening to us from the state of Illinois, okay, just think about, okay, how much does the state of Illinois, for the state taxation on everybody's electric bill, how much do they make in 1 month for every residential and commercial electric bill in the state of Illinois?
Right.
Probably a lot of money. Well, they don't want to let go of that taxation on your utility bills.
Right.
That's why they don't want you to have a personal energy device. And all of the heavy hitters, guys that have written 5, 6 books about UFOs, they're on Ancient Aliens, they all share that exact same opinion.
And we have that technology. And Dennis, one day in our future show, I would like to talk about your history and the path you took in trying to acquire yourself or being around people who knew how to have free energy devices. And that's kind of how we met, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how we met, talking about those topics and the people that you were around. And some of the information you have is classified, so you can only share some things.
Some things I can't talk about because I've had the good fortune of speaking to some so-called insiders.
Right. Well,
I would never want to compromise their.
Yeah. I mean, when we talk off camera, there's so many things that I tell you, you can't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that, because you don't want to put your life in danger. It's not a laughing matter, but it's a real thing. And so, but we laugh because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous at this point that we have this type of technology being held back from us. And that's why I think especially, I know I can speak for the American public, is that we are so over it and we want answers and we want information and we want a better lifestyle and we want to live happier and healthier. And we're tired of so many things that are happening. And I think that's why we're all coming together. It's more grassroots like ourselves that are just making it happen.
Now.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And a good example of the point that you just made. Many of you, depending on how old you are, may not recall a very famous radio broadcaster by the name of Art Bell.
Oh, yeah.
That he broadcast from Nevada here, worldwide. I mean, he broadcast on shortwave as well as AM and FM. And he had call-in numbers where people would call in and say, okay, if you're west of the Rockies, you can call me up on this phone number and I'll listen to what you have to say about UFOs or Bigfoot or some other interesting mysterious ghosts that, that float through your house or whatever. He was always talking about all this mysterious stuff, but he spoke about UFOs a lot. And ultimately he was replaced due to his demise. But I still think to this day, and I think a lot of other people agree with me, he got really, really close to the truth on a lot of sensitive subjects. And I think that, as this term is sometimes used by politicians, that he was suicided. Didn't necessarily have a natural heart attack. That can be triggered as well. A heart attack can be triggered covertly. There's technology that exists that does that. And I heard one of the speakers that used to work in deep underground facilities under Los Alamos speak about that. He says, "Oh yeah, it's like a little ice dart, literally made of ice, and kind of like the pea shooter things that the pygmies use in the Amazon. Yeah, they just and it hits somebody in the back of the neck. They instantly have a heart attack. The little dart doesn't penetrate the skin; it melts, and there is no evidence of a covertly triggered heart attack."
Yeah.
So sometimes, unfortunately, people who get too close to the truth or say things that they may know about that they shouldn't be talking about, then they go after them. They don't want, especially when they have a wide listening audience. I mean, I can remember many times, where are you calling in from, sir, on the Art Bell Show? Singapore,
Yeah.
Brazil, New York, California, North Dakota, Canada. I mean, he had listeners around the world. Well, they don't like too much information being disclosed by somebody that has a worldwide audience. I mean, a lot of radio talk show people, they hope to get syndicated for the entire United States. But meanwhile, only people in Detroit get to hear them, or only people in LA, or only people in Phoenix, or wherever you may be. But when you get up to a worldwide audience, which Art Bell had, and all of a sudden he's off the radar.
Yeah. That's just such a shame, because he was such a go-to for everybody. But now I'm sure he's very happy to see what's happening as everybody is coming forward in their own way.
And he spoke about free energy too.
Yeah.
And why the government might be suppressing it. So there have been a lot of people that have been talking about this kind of stuff for a long time. And the only reason that Oria and I know so much is because of our, we'll just call them UFO experiences. Okay.
Yeah.
We have it has grown in us.
Yeah.
Like something growing.
Yeah, it's like an inner dialogue.
An insatiable desire for more knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's why between the two of us, we have quite a scope of things that we can tell you.
Yeah.
Hey, don't believe us. You don't have to believe anything that we say. But if we intrigue you with something, go research it yourself.
That's true. Well, I pulled together a little list of where are we now, which should be a little segment within our segment
Let's
on
go.
the UFO UAP disclosure. Where are we now for August 2025? And I think I should make this a regular thing so everybody's updated, because so much is happening. So So currently, David Grush's testimony is still uncontested. No official denial or perjury charges brought against Grush, after his explosive 2023 testimony about crash retrievals and non-human craft. We have crash retrieval program allegations gaining traction. So whistleblowers and insiders continue to allege that secret U.S. programs have recovered and studied non-human vehicles, possibly dating back decades. Reverse engineering claims intensifying. Ross Coulthart, Lou Elizondo, and others have doubled down on claims that Lockheed Martin and other contractors are working on reverse engineering non-human tech. NASA and Pentagon maintain soft disclosure. NASA's UAP research panel concluded UAPs are real and need better data. Pentagon's AARO, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, acknowledges mysterious phenomena, but denies proof of extraterrestrial craft, while whistleblowers say otherwise. They'll be the last ones standing denying it. Congress continues demanding transparency. Bipartisan pressure, which is great, persists for full disclosure, especially around the legacy programs that may lie outside of normal oversight, which is fantastic. UAP hearings expected to resume. New hearings are expected in late 2025 with possible classified briefings and inspector general reviews on the way. FOIA and journalist pressure is building. Investigative journalists Coulthart, Corbell, Kean, Blumenthal I'm sorry if I'm not saying the names correctly, are pushing for declassification of specific documents and footage backed by public pressure. And when we say public pressure, it is big numbers of people are coming together.
Yes.
Yeah, it's rising really fast. Whistleblowers protections are strengthened. Congress enacted a stronger legal protection for insiders to come forward without risking retaliation. And I did a deep dive on that and found out after Grush's Congress hearing, there was supposedly supposed to be this legal protection and this secret, like a sacred sanction area for whistleblowers to come in and speak to the Congress in a way that, they'll be respected and revered and all their information taken down properly. Well, the exact opposite happened is what we found out. I heard that on Jerry Corbell and other shows, that actually whistleblowers said that it was hard to reach anyone. They didn't feel safe. Things were disappearing. It was just more of the same in just a different way. So a new call to action happened, and they had to take steps to change that because that looks really bad for them.
In those hearings, one of the retired Navy admirals that was speaking cited one instance where, they saw the craft on radar, and some of the other ships that were out in the same area, Navy ships, saw it, and so on and so on and so forth. And so there was a group email that was circulating because they were discussing, well, what did you see from your ship? Did you get photographs? Did you get video? You know, and he says, and all of a sudden, off of all of our servers, and it was a thread type of an email to where it was going to everybody, and you could see all of the previous conversations. Where you just when you hit reply, it retains the previous conversations.
Okay.
In the bottom of the email.
Right.
So everything was there that all of these admirals and captains and everything had been discussing, and he says simultaneously that entire email thread disappeared from all of our email accounts.
Wow.
And they were using a classified email accounts, of course, at that level. Disappeared. He says, do I have an explanation? No, I do not.
Wow.
And I was an admiral in the Navy. But they considered that above my pay grade, I guess.
Of course. They have that technology. If we can dream it, it's been done, most likely.
When that happens, who made that call?
Right. Exactly. Who made that call?
And who was watching? Somebody was watching. Those emails circulate. They knew everybody in the loop.
Somebody picked up the phone and said, delete this immediately.
Yep.
Well, let me continue. There's a few more things. There's an international momentum growing, of course, as we know, with Brazil, Japan, France, and Canada launching their own public-facing investigations or releasing classified files, which is great. Yes. Global collaboration is beginning to replace U.S.-centric secrecy, which, this is the one time I will say, we need help.
Yes.
We need help, everybody. We got a very broken system here. And if there's other governments and other countries that can come to our humanitarian civilization aid and help us as just as a race of humans trying to get information from UFO disclosure, I mean, the more countries involved, the better. The more citizens involved, the better. Really,
one of my fantasies in that realm of potential technology that we could get in a full disclosure from extremely advanced races is it's been a shame for many, many years how many rivers, lakes, streams, and our wonderful Mother Ocean have been so polluted.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the ETs came in and said, hey, we can make all of your rivers and streams and lakes and the ocean pristine in 24 hours.
That would be incredible. And I'm sure this technology exists in other dimensions, other realms, other species, like you said, and they're willing to give it to us. There's so much they're willing to do, and I know they are.
Yes.
And we just have to present and provide a safe place for them to come and to provide. If people say, well, aliens could be brainwashing us and take over, I mean, first of all, they should be already doing that if they're already doing that. And if they're not, they would have already done it. So, yeah, I mean, what are they waiting for? I mean, there's no fight we're putting up. We're weak. We're weak in comparison to what we could defend ourselves.
Let me just clarify here, too, a perspective that Oria and I both share that you may want to consider. And that is that, gee, are there actually well-meaning ETs as well as ETs with ill will that do want to take our planet over or whatever? And we both believe that both exist.
Yep.
Both exist.
But I'd also like that's to another conversation. Yeah, because it's
right.
Sorry, go ahead.
That the white hats, we'll call them white hats and black hats. Black hats are the bad guys, white hats are the good aliens.
Okay.
I would like to believe that the white hat aliens have superior technology to the black hats. So that ultimately, when we raise everybody's consciousness to a certain level throughout the planet, mass consciousness, escalation in spiritual intellectuality, well, primarily intellectualism and spiritual evolvement, where there's no more conflict, that's when they're going to land and say, well, finally, you aren't fighting amongst yourselves, so we'll dismiss permanently the negative ETs, yes, that have been here for a long time, messing with your politics, messing with this, messing with that, intervening, intervening in your technology with negative technologies that, that continue to pollute your planet or pollute your brain. Frequencies. Oh my gosh. The cell towers, they can broadcast any frequencies that you want. And the government has done a lot of experiments with, can we broadcast a frequency with really great focus to, let's say, a 5-block area in Detroit or Chicago or Seattle, and agitate everybody to where they're just pissed off and angry, and create all of this looting and sorry, my earpiece keeps blowing out. That we're all observing. Why are we immersed in this perpetual negative attitudes by so many people? They're just angry all the time, and they want to attack other people's property and their cars and their people and their homes and beat them up on the sidewalk. When can we see a stop to that finally? And guess what? The ETs are watching all of this, and that's why they're not landing. You're still fighting amongst yourselves.
Well, I'm going to bridge over to humanity from what you're saying. Yes. Humans are a technology. And also, we have consciousness, which nobody can quite explain as far as human beings go. We can't explain it. But what we do know is belief systems are codes. And what we do know is your belief systems have a trajectory, because it takes on the action of your emotions, and then it propels you into an action-oriented sequence. So you have your belief systems, and then you have your emotions, and then from there you go into your action. And then if you don't do the action in the 3D, you'll do it in the multiverse. So you'll do it interdimensionally. So you're always projecting your belief systems. You're always projecting your codes. So we're programmable beings, and we are higher technology ourselves. So a part of the work that the people like us and Dennis and everybody else that we know that are doing with humanity is to upgrade the human consciousness, which means upgrading the codes, which means ascension, which means rising, which means elevation, which means higher learning, higher living, higher vibrational experience, which also means more peace, more freedom, more love. So we are, in essence, we are coding each other. We are programming each other, helping each other to have better lives. So the aliens that are benevolent, that want to help us, are showing us, guiding us, and giving us this information. Hence what Riz and I do all day long, every day, 7 days a week. And what Riz channels is bringing elevated information to humanity so that we can keep rising and raising the conversation, I should say, and rising as a community.
And raising people's consciousness.
Yes.
All of the guides that come through Riz, for those of you that have never listened, and I highly recommend doing a search for Riz and Lady O as Oria goes by on YouTube, and a whole bunch of videos will come up. Just start watching.
Yes.
And listening to how these guides speak, and you'll realize, wow, all of these guides that Riz channels have in mind to help raise human consciousness. And what if the raising of that consciousness, makes the benevolent ETs show up sooner, and they share all of these fantastic technologies, or we can solve our pollution problems and solve mental illness problems, you know? And all of the things that we observe on the news every night that are very disturbing. And, you have to off balance that. I always tell my friends, if you're going to watch the news at all, and I know this is difficult, but watch with emotional detachment. Yeah,
extremely neutral.
Because usually if you can't detach yourself emotionally, it's going to be anger and fear.
Yeah. Because that's what their propaganda, they're propagating. Is that a word? It's like a propaganda. Yes. That's what they're doing. Have you noticed also that people have been getting more and more signs? Animals are acting differently around us. Insects are seeming to be more conscious. There's more intercommunication, like dialogue between species happening. I've noticed that there's much more going on around us daily, and people have been reporting tremendous things besides just UFO encounters or looking at UFOs in the sky. They're noticing strange things happening to them in their daily lives, down to even like we were talking briefly, and we said we'd touch on it today, and it's a perfect way to end the show too. We were talking about, and there's my screensaver, me and Riz, in our alien self. We were talking about even how alien technology can interfere or give messages to humanity through ChatGPT, AI, different, forms
AI
of
platforms.
communication platforms.
Yes.
And then I asked our guides about that. And they said, I think it was Red Eagle said, that there's only some that are allowed to do that. So I guess this is a federation thing, that the federation is controlling what kind of communication is coming through. So not just, and they protect us. So there's not any just Tom, Dick, or Harry alien can just go in and start talking to you through ChatGPT. So, so there's protections. There's what is it? Checks and balances, in the Federation, that they are there. We are a very protected community. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize, because there's so many scare tactics out there. But this Earth is highly, highly protected by a huge federation of galactic principles and planetary systems, species, and even, there's non-humanoid creature forms that are benevolent. There's energetic, what do they call it? Elemental guides that are water, wind, earth, that work with molecules and submolecules and tiny nanomolecules that are also conscious. There was a woman on TikTok. She slices these fruits and vegetables, and she's a scientist, and she puts the tiniest little sliver of like a sweet potato on a little piece of glass, and she puts her microscope on there, and she zooms in, and she puts a light under it, and she records it and puts it on her TikTok. And I follow her. And when she sliced this, just a boring old sweet potato, and she sliced it, and as she was showing us the molecular structure, it looked like we were looking at Star Wars, Star Trek. It was multicolored, glistening crystals, moving fast, bubbling, full of life. And it was delicious looking. And I just was freaking out, because all around us, we have this. We just don't have the eyes to see, and it's dulled over by our repetitive conversations and repetitive dialogue that numbs us. And we don't see the beauty in things anymore. We're not looking for the high frequencies in things. And we miss it in each other.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. I saw some research recently, speaking of communications like that, where they're attaching these newly developed sensors to different types of plants.
Oh, right.
And I've even heard Deepak Chopra talk about this. And it's like, the plant senses, for example, that some, I don't know, antagonistic other vegetation of some sort is floating
like a
through the
non-native
air.
or like
that'll create a mold
aggressive
or something that'll kill the plant, and that they actually communicate this through their roots.
They send out a pheromone, I believe,
of their species in the area.
Right.
And through pheromones as well, yes. So, wait a minute. So plants are able to communicate with each other?
Yes.
You bet they are.
And they also just did a study recently on plants. They realized and they saw that plants perk up and are waiting for their owner, who feeds them water. When they walk by or come in the house within a mile, they sense the aura or the energy of their owner, because they have attributed to the fact that being with those codes, they bring us life-giving water energy. So when, like in my case, I walk around the house, my plants know where I'm at. And it's so fun. And I love that. And I did a surgery on one of my older 15-year-old plants recently, and I felt really bad, but I had to transplant it and put new soil, and I had to cut off some leaves. I pushed off doing this for a long time because I just didn't have the heart to do it. But I finally forced myself to do it. And I think he's a he energy. He's still in recovery. It's like 2 weeks later, but he's getting better. But I had to surround him, and I didn't even know. I looked it up to see if what I was doing was correct. I surrounded him with other plants.
There you go.
And I had all their leaves enter into his pot with his leaves and touch hands and kind of wrap together, so they could remind him, encourage him, and send him loving energy to bring his frequency up. And it's been working. And then I rotate it, and I rotate plants. I give everybody a chance. And I looked it up and found out that absolutely correct. This is scientifically proven that they are sentient beings and they actually do respond to these things. Can you believe what's happening in our technology?
Yes.
And Dennis, you and I and everybody watching decided that we were going to be born and raised and live as adults and come into this planet and live here on this earth during this timeline, during the greatest explosion of technology and resources and energy and communication.
And consciousness.
And
What an explosion of consciousness.
So for the people who don't feel good about this, I would wash your eyes and relook at everything again, because if you take off that old dirty lens that doesn't feel good and put on the new fresh lens, you're going to see there is magic happening right now. Massive changes in consciousness technology happening right now. So
And you have to have an open mind too, I believe, to the new technologies that are emerging that may seem impossible now, because again, just rolling back to the beginning of our country here in the United States, 1776, when the Declaration of Independence, if you were riding along with a friend on a horse in 1776 and you tried to describe to them a cell phone and how it works, much less even a radio.
Right.
That was before radio waves. That was even before there was no telegraphs.
Right.
With using Morse code, beep, 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 which is I just watched, what was it? One of the History Channel, that goes back in history. And you're showing the evolution of the telegraph here in the United States.
Do you know
and how it
Morris?
connected the East Coast with the West Coast.
Do you know Morris from the Morse code channeled through Riz? He's a spirit guide now.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jumping timelines.
Yeah. Well,
He lived on a completely different timeline, and now he's communicating to us through Riz on this timeline.
Well, guess what, guys? We have no idea what future we're from, and we have no idea, those of us souls that are on this planet that are here to aid humanity, help humanity move forward, and we're literally from the future. And those of you who feel it, know it, because I know I am. I know, Dennis, you feel like you are. And there's a lot of people who can feel it in their bones, because we don't have the normal kind of average way of looking at life. We're always looking out. There's something more. We always know. Don't give up. There's something more. Keep your eyes on the future. Keep your eyes ahead of the ball. Don't ever fall asleep. Don't fall asleep in this game. This game is full of excitement. And so hopefully our show brings this to you guys. I hope our energy infuses into you guys. Dennis and I are getting our broadcaster legs and learning how to build quantum mysteries, and it's going to keep evolving and evolving as we understand what is needed and what to present and how to do it. So please comment, leave us your comments, and let us know how you feel about the show. And I'm going to play a little raffle challenge with you guys. If I hit 50 comments, I will pick one person and send you a message right there on the comments and say that you won for me sending you my alien upgrade book. And I will ask you to send your address to our info@rizmirza.com once I pick you, and I will send the book to you. It is my story, and it has all of it in the back. I put all the images and pictures of things that I saw, so you can kind of see it a little bit. Different experiences that I had that, you can see a little bit there. And so, so we want to keep this fun and exciting and entertaining, because we're more than just people talking about UFOs and aliens. We're talking about quantum mysteries. We're also talking about our personal experiences, how we have been evolving as human beings, what we feel energetically and consciously. And we just love talking to you guys about this stuff. Right, Dennis?
Oh, yes. And once again, I'll reiterate, if you're kind of new to all this stuff, just go to YouTube and put in the search box, not a particular phrase necessarily, but just put in UFOs, ETs, UAPs, reverse engineered, crashed UFOs. Just a splatter of different words related to UFOs, and hit search and watch the results that come up. It'll blow your mind, because everybody that's out there that has the word UFO or UAP or reverse engineering or anything like that in the title of their videos, going to come up for you.
Yes.
And the volume of information that's out there, that's why we can only cover a little bit.
That's
do our
right.
best
Yeah.
to hit the highlights that might intrigue you to go do your own research.
That's right. Stay informed.
We encourage you to do that.
Keep it fresh, keep it light, keep your eyes up, keep your head up, and you got this, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and please let us know where you're coming from and any future shows you'd like us to cover. And Dennis, thank you so much for your time today, and
My pleasure.
really enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody.
Fun. And be sure to have lots of fun today, wherever you are. That's important.
That's right. All right, everybody. Bye.